Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here. So for as long as I've been doing security, and it's way longer than I care to admit, security has developed in the same way, and it's really been a patchwork. So every time there's a new problem that emerges, a small cluster of companies, usually VC-funded, jump up right behind that to solve that problem. And to be honest, they're actually really, really good at what they do. So the issue isn't how good these solutions are. The issue is there are a lot of them. So most of you end up with what could be 40, 50, 70, 100, and it's not uncommon for us to talk to customers that might even have 200 solutions that they're integrating. And there are a lot of issues with configurations and all, and complexity ends up being the enemy of security. And this problem actually gets worse as you move into the public cloud arena. Again, each public cloud vendor has their own set of native security controls. And once again, it's not about whose are better or worse. It's that they're different. So one of the things that we as Cisco have taken on is, how do we simplify this for you? So what we did is we abstracted these security controls from the underlying infrastructure into what we call the Cisco Security Cloud. This gives you a single user interface, a single set of controls, and perhaps most importantly, a single set of telemetry across all of these environments. And as Cisco, we are very focused on staying in the swim lane of where security meets the network. And that means we look at everything from when a user accesses an application all the way through to when the application gets to the data that it is using. All right, so when you look at the Cisco Security Cloud and you explode it, there are three major components to this. It's about protecting the user. It's about protecting cloud environments and your applications that live in all of these, and then breach protection. And I'm going to very quickly get into all three of these for you, starting with user protection. Imagine if I wanted to get a glass of water, and I walked up to a water cooler, and I was asked, hey, Ambika, how do you want this water delivered? Do you want an iron pipe, a copper pipe, a PVC pipe? How do you want that delivered? I would be like, that's a ridiculous question. But that is exactly what we're doing to enterprise users today. If I'm accessing an application that's behind a ZTNA gateway, my experience is quite different from when I'm accessing an application behind a VPN gateway, or it's a SaaS application, or I'm going directly to the internet. So as we conceive of what this should be like, we are changing that experience completely. For us, it's as simple as you authenticate a user as step one, and the next thing, they access the applications. Of course, we still have to make the decision underneath the cover on how that access is happening. But we are plumbers, and we are very good at handling the network plumbing. And we do this automatically and seamlessly for users, and they never see it. So one experience, I get authenticated once, and I go and access my applications no matter where they live. Now, we speak to customers a lot, as you might imagine, and one of the things that I want to drive home here is the seamlessness of the experience. When we talk to customers and we say, hey, are you doing ZTNA? All the hands go up. And then we ask the customers, do you still have applications that need VPN access? Any guesses? All the hands go up. So here is another thing that we're able to do with the experience that we've built. If I am accessing an application that is living in a VPN environment, great. This is the way we've traditionally done it. When you're behind the firewall, you have access to all of this. As you start to build your zero trust frameworks and move applications into it, it's completely seamless for the user. So you can start with the VPN apps. IT is moving these apps. This changes all the time. You may add more apps to the zero trust area, and the user does not know what's going on at all. And please know, the reason why you have some of your applications behind VPN gateways is not all these apps are designed or architected to talk to a gateway. And changing them architecturally is either a long process or one that you might not even undertake, right? So this is really important. Now, outside of all of this, the overall experience matters to us too. So obviously, for all the security capabilities we deliver here, we've got points of presence around the world to bring the security close to where the user is. But we go further, and you heard this earlier today. We've integrated ThousandEyes into a secure access solution, so we don't just say we deliver a great experience, we can measure that experience. And if there's a problem, we can pinpoint to where that problem is so that IT can troubleshoot that very, very quickly. And with ThousandEyes, as you might know, you can even see ahead of time which pathways are degrading, and you might switch policy to make sure that users never encounter that pathway and you never really have some of those problems. So all of the capabilities I described, there's a really important thing that I want to say about them. It's a plethora of capabilities that we have integrated to provide a different security outcome. There's a firewall in the mix, there's SSE in the mix, there's just a bunch of things. And this is the promise that we make with our suites. So the user protection suite has a lot of capabilities, and like I said, we do the integrations. We make them work together to deliver the outcome that you want for users. So moving from that, let's talk about the cloud protection suite. So I just finished talking about how when you have a user accessing an application, we are able to deliver least privileged access in a really secure way. Now, you need that least privileged access in another area, and that's when there's an application accessing another application. So let's talk about that. Let's just say marketing decides that they've got to run a campaign, and they put a marketing application up in AWS. But that application needs to come back and speak to a customer database that might be living on-prem. So historically, or right now, what you do is you use Direct Connect or some other mechanism to punch a hole in your firewall and allow that access to happen. That's fine, till something happens where an attacker takes advantage of a vulnerability or something with that marketing app and now comes into your private environment and has access and the ability to go almost anywhere within that. That's not okay. So what we are able to do with a solution we call multi-cloud defense is we are able to bridge this gap for you. How do we do it? Well, let's talk about the issue first. The issue is your private environment speaks in terms of IP, and your public environment speaks in terms of services. It's all about Lambda. It's about S3 buckets. The notion of an IP address doesn't really exist there. So multi-cloud defense bridges those by understanding both and allowing you to build policies that work across those environments. And doing that, we are able to give you that zero trust, least privilege access so that when that marketing application needs to speak to that customer database, that is just to the customer database. So just to give you a little more on this, we have egress controls, we have ingress controls, and we have macro segmentation, and then this least privilege access. So it's a very comprehensive solution. I've just touched on one of the use cases. It's also really powerful because it not only works on AWS, it works on all of the different cloud environments that you might want it to, and even across the private environment. So from your private cloud to public cloud, you can have secure access, you can share network objects across those environments, and this makes it really, really simple for you to manage those. And again, multi-cloud defense is part of our cloud protection suite that has other capabilities in it too, all of which we have integrated, again, with a view to deliver outcomes and not point products. Now, I also want to go into, in this section, on the news that we shared earlier today on Cisco Identity Intelligence. How many folks were in the keynote this morning? Okay, great. So I'll try and go a little bit deeper from what you heard at the keynote this morning. The whole thesis here is you've got more threat actors saying, why do I want to spend my time creating these complicated zero-day attacks when I can just either steal credentials or do a MFA bypass and just get in, looking and feeling like legitimate traffic? So the thesis here is, why hack in when you can just log in? There have been a fair number of breaches recently that have made headline news that have used things similar to what I'm going to discuss here. So attackers will go to, let's say, LinkedIn, and they're going to go and study a bunch of profiles. Let me look for a super admin at company ABC. And once they've got those profiles, they might call into an IT help desk, and they'll use social engineering. They might even use voice cloning, and they'll sort of convince the IT person, like, I need this now, I've got this emergency, or whatever they use in their social engineering, to basically get them to do an MFA reset and give them access to the environment that they should have. Now, this person can come in and pretty much do what they like. They might log into the account as a super user. They'll oftentimes set up a new IDP so that they can hide their tracks, so they can give access to other people. So it's not just the initial attacker, but the rest of their network that's in there. And then they'll go ahead and continue to proceed from there to launch their attack and eventually probably end up ransoming some really valuable asset that you have. Why is this happening today? It's happening because there's blind trust between two things. I authenticate a user, so I establish that this user is Ambika. But now, I have all the access that Ambika has allowed, but I'm not really looking for any anomalies in Ambika's behavior. So if an attacker authenticates as Ambika, they come in, they can do whatever they like, and if they take pathways that even Ambika normally doesn't take, there's no way to establish that is happening. So that is the blind trust that we are dealing with Cisco Identity Intelligence and addressing the problem right there. So instead of just stopping at, can Ambika get this access, which is an authentication thing, once Ambika has the access, we continue to ask the question, well, should she be doing what we see her doing? Or is the behavior that she's exhibiting anomalous? Make sense? So in the attack that I just explained, here are a few things that Cisco Identity Intelligence would be able to deliver. When that attacker called into the help desk, we could put up a dashboard showing them a lot of activity that this user who's calling in for an MFA reset might have recently had. So the questions can go beyond to like, what were the last 3 applications you accessed since morning? Things about their manager, perhaps. You can also look at things like, oh, this person is coming in from a new ISP. Never seen this ISP before. So again, you have a bunch of behavior-based, posture-based, and other information to use so that you can prove whether this person is the person they are or not. And then moving beyond that, we would do a bunch of things like analyze behavior, analyze posture, analyze the policies on an ongoing continuous basis to make sure that the behavior is an anomalous. So if you look at this, at every stage of that attack, there might have been very clear tells that this is something that should not be allowed, and we could have either alerted or blocked the user from doing those things. So this is the power of identity intelligence. And then very quickly, going over how this works, and you saw this morning, it's about working with the existing identity systems, pulling out from them the intelligence that they have related to identity, including not just users, but also machines, and pulling that into the identity intelligence framework. So again, you've got users, machines, applications, the works, and then building an identity graph to analyze all of the behaviors that I talked about. And then using that, we hydrate all of Cisco Identity Intelligence, And by July, you will see this even if you're buying our standalone products, like Duo for authentication, we'll be using identity intelligence. Secure Access will be making access decisions, including identity intelligence. And even our XDR will be using identity intelligence as part of that mix. So the thing that we're inviting everyone to do and suggesting is take the identity security assessment. You don't have to have any of our products deployed for this, but if you take this assessment, we can look at what your identity posture is and be able to tell you if there are things that you should be paying more attention to make sure that you have a strong identity posture. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go to the last one of these, which is breach protection. This is really about our XDR capabilities. We see about 550 billion events on any particular day. We see them across a lot of control points. If you just have a handful of control points and not all of them, you might miss the signal, because it's not just through the use of identity. Generally, attackers are becoming very good at looking like legitimate traffic as they start and progress their attacks. So they'll get in there and they'll use channels that you can't turn off, like RDP, et cetera. So they just look like normal behavior, normal traffic. The signals are much harder to pick up on. But if you look across all the control points, even if the signals are low, when you stitch them together, you're able to detect these attacks. Most of them start still with phishing, et cetera, in the email realm. They usually point you to a website, so having a good understanding of DNS and knowing which websites just went up yesterday, even if they look completely legitimate, really, really helps. And then from there, looking at every process at an endpoint. And the final thing is the network, which is the ultimate ground truth, because no matter what these attackers are doing, finally, when they go for the prize, they're likely to give themselves away. So looking across all of these becomes really important. But no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, one of these attacks could actually succeed. And when that happens, we've got ransomware recovery. So what we've done with ransomware recovery is, if we see a suspicious process and we can't make a determination whether this is malware or not, we maintain your business continuity by saying, look, if this is suspicious, let's go ahead and take what we call a just-in-time snapshot. So we're not continuously snapshotting everything. We take a just-in-time snapshot and we store it. If this is benign, we simply throw away that snapshot. But if it's malicious behavior and your application actually comes under attack, we are able to use the snapshot and recover almost instantaneously and ensure the continuity of your business. Now we're working with multiple storage partners here, and we're just following what our customers' usage there is. But it's a very powerful capability, because in many ways, the ability to recover really quickly is almost the ultimate defense against ransomware attacks. This is what our breach protection suite is made up of. Now, I want to go into one more area, and I want to spend some time here, because it's about AI and what we are doing with AI. And for that, I'm going to invite DJ Sampath, who is our VP of Product, focused on AI, to join me here. DJ.
Thank you.
So, DJ, I'm going to keep some slides up, but I want to make this totally conversational, and I'm going to take you places where the slides may not normally take you.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Look, AI is super important for us, right? We've been spending a lot of time on it, making big investments here. What are the tenets of the approach that we are taking with AI?
Now, the way we are thinking about AI, and it is obviously one of the most buzzwordy concepts out there, but it's starting to become incredibly real, right? So from that perspective, the way we've broken this down for our customers is we think about it in 3 separate pillars. First one is assist. where we are building capabilities to assist the admin, assist the SOC analyst, the firewall user, to be able to effectively do their tasks a lot easier. The second part of it is really being able to augment human capabilities with AI, where we're bringing machine-driven insights. When you think about, you heard Ambika talk about 550 billion signals coming together. You have to have AI help you synthesize all of that data and help you make decisions in a timely fashion. The last piece is really all about automation. You have to be able to respond really quickly to the attacks. And you heard about how we're doing ransomware recovery. What if you could use AI to be able to call those APIs automatically? That's really the potency of what you can do. So that's why we've broken it down into assist, augment, and automate as the 3 capabilities.
So there's a statement here. We are making AI pervasive across the Cisco Security Cloud. And let's talk about that. Exactly what have we done? What are we announcing here?
Absolutely. What you're seeing up there on the top, we've already gone ahead and announced the ability to do ransomware recovery in the automate section, being able to use those APIs to do that. We've also announced the ability to analyze encrypted traffic and take actions by using AI to automatically recognize malware, even if the traffic isn't encrypted. We launched the AI assistant in firewall to be able to allow the admins to use natural language to manage their policies. Now, all of those we'd already accomplished. But what we're announcing here at Cisco Live in Amsterdam is the AI assistant for secure access. We're also are announcing capabilities where we're leveraging AI to be able to detect very specific targeted attacks over emails. And last but not the least, we are looking at usage of AI, which has sort of really gone up. Like everybody's using ChatGPT, or they're using Bard. They're using APIs to be able to access some of these applications. And we're now in the business of protecting the use of AI, which is absolutely critical inside of every single organization right now.
So a lot of people here were at an earlier session, but I still want to walk through the demo for the firewall assistant. And DJ, what would be really interesting for us to understand is, why is what we've done so differentiated? Like a lot of people, AI is a buzzword. Everyone in the industry is AI washing all their products, right? So I think what I want to do here is draw out the details of our approach as we go through that, and I'm going to let you drive for yourself here.
Thank you so much. I think the important piece to sort of understand here is the concept of bolting on versus building it in, right? A lot of AI washing that you're seeing right now is basically people trying to simply add an API and say, hey, here's an API that seamlessly does something for you using ChatGPT. But what we have done is we've taken a fundamentally different approach. When we launched our AI assistant inside of the firewall, we basically went to our customers. We talked to them and we asked them, hey, what are the things that you want the AI to help you with? And based on their feedback, we went out and we built it, where we use natural language to be able to understand the types of questions that they may normally ask. And we have fine-tuned these models to solve for those custom use cases. So in this particular example, what you're seeing here is you ask a question that says, hey, give me all the policies that are controlling the sales application. What you see in response is each and every single one of those firewall rules. Notice that you cannot get this with simply calling an API. You have to query your policy store, get that response back, and then show that in a nice tabular format that makes it easy for an analyst or a firewall admin to be able to take actions.
And this is the multimodal nature of it.
Exactly. So we're making sure that it's not just text-based, it has different types of responses that come out of as a response. So here's another one. When we go ahead and add a rule, when you have to do that today, you have to go into the dashboard, click a bunch of buttons. It probably takes you about 15 clicks, and trust me when I tell you this.
So let's go to the rule and show that.
Yeah, so you don't have to do those 15 clicks. You can just click into this, and automatically you see that it constructs a rule for you, and then it asks you, hey, how would you create this rule? And when you click yes, it still needs that human input to be able to do that. It comes back with a response that says, hey, you've successfully deployed an outbound block rule to be able to do that. Now, shifting gears a little bit over here, if you wanted detailed instructions to upgrade a firewall, today you would have to go in and look at a whole lot of different documents and in your knowledge bases to be able to do that. what the AI assistant now does this is it basically, you can ask a simple question. It lists out each and every single one of the steps that you would need to take to be able to perform an upgrade. And it references all of the sources without you having to click into any of the documentation store.
And it has full context, right? So it knows what release you're on, it knows what you need. So it's not just randomly pulling out information, it's operating within the context that you are operating.
That's exactly right. Now, another interesting problem is that a lot of you all have configurations inside of your firewall. You've got tons and tons of rules already in place, right? So sometimes when you go out and create another rule, it might potentially be a duplicate. What the AI assistant can do for you here is that it comes back and tells you, hey, we just discovered that you have a lot of duplicates inside of your firewall. And with one single click, you can either disable them or delete them all and eliminate all of these duplicates or misconfigurations that might potentially exist. And that, again, keeps still the human in the loop. You're still there, you're still driving it, but makes it incredibly easy and effective for you to be able to do it. And with that, I'd like to switch gears into that.
Can you roll back?
Absolutely, yes. The
question was, can you roll back after making a decision for the AI assistant to do something for you? And the answer is?
Absolutely, yes. And guess what? You can do that in natural language. You can just go back in there and say, hey, roll back the rule, and it's going to do that for you.
And you can do it in many languages too. So when you're talking about natural language, even though we're showing this in English, that's not the only one. If you want to share instructions with somebody else, you can have this basically say, hey, give me what you've given me in Portuguese, and you can use that with someone else. So really, really powerful.
That's right. And we're announcing the exact same capabilities that you saw inside of the firewall. We're announcing them, all of those capabilities, inside of the secure access as well. And that's really the big announcement today, is that we're seamlessly providing you with that exact same interface that you just saw into each and every single one of our products. And we're announcing that inside of secure access, where you have the ability to do the same things, create policies, examine your rules, and take actions just using natural language.
So the last one that we've got to share is actually securing the use of AI. So let's run through that. We've just got a couple of minutes here.
Absolutely. So very quickly, one of the key things that we're announcing here is that today a lot of your team members are actively trying and exploring the use of AI. They're grabbing an API, they're sending out traffic to your ChatGPT. A lot of interesting things are happening inside, and you need visibility, right? If you don't have visibility into how your team members are using AI, you're in trouble. Because if they might be copying...
Or even which Gen AI applications or chat applications are using.
That's right.
Because some of them might be social engineered to appear to be good applications. That's starting to happen, but they're not. You really don't want anyone interacting with them.
That's exactly right. And if they are sending critical information outside, things like your source code, things like your PII, PCI, not even knowing that they're copy-pasting these things inside of the chat window, you want appropriate controls in place, and that's really what we're talking about. And there are about 70 plus Gen AI apps out there right now. Whether you're using over APIs or whether you're just using them over a browser, you need to have visibility into protecting against that, and that's really what we're announcing today.
And I want to emphasize one more thing. So it's not just when they're using it and data leaks out of your organization. They might, in a hurry, say, give me the code for X, Y, or Z, and they might cut and paste that into your coding infrastructure. That's a liability for you. So it's going to prevent that from happening too.
Absolutely.
So very exciting news. Thank you there, DJ. And
back to you.
Just to close this out, everything that we've talked about so far, whether it's taking point products and providing integrated solutions, the use of AI, use of identity, all the other capabilities we've discussed, they're in service of really 3 pillars. We want to give you the best efficacy when it comes to security. We want to make sure that user experience, both for the end user and for IT, is great. And that's so important because under the auspices of making things more secure, we often don't care about those 2 pieces of experience, but they're vital. And then finally, the economics of all of this matter, and we want to be true to all those pillars. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.